people's records a person. One difference is, now I'm in Debbie's screen. I'm going into my record. You'll notice it's read-only mode. I did that because we don't want you guys to change a personal record. We need that stuff for counting for the census, and if anything gets changed, that could throw off what we're doing over on this side. I will show you a little loophole later where I'll make you guys, I'll let you guys know what you should and should not do with that. But if you go into a person's personal profile, you can't change anything. You can just look stuff up. So if I go into games, you can still see their games. If you go into certifications, you can still see all their certifications. It's just you can't change any of that. Then you guys don't have to worry about it. So I'll back out of this. That's really the only change with that. I would like you guys to know one thing. You guys are able to see who is logged in, and in this screen you can actually kick somebody out. I would appreciate if you don't kick anybody out because that could actually be bad. If somebody's working at midnight or so and they maybe fell asleep or went to the bathroom and they're gone for a couple minutes and you kick them out and they haven't saved anything, that could be an issue. So I just wanted you guys to know that if you did find this, you can look, but please don't kick anybody out.
Can I go back? People, sometimes we may get something that says the certificate, not certification, physical has been updated. We don't do that. Give that to you.
Yeah, if you have a question on if somebody's physical, if we have their physical, just let me know and I will look, and if I have it, I'll update it, which that's a nice thing about being on the server. You guys can call me and say, oh, hey, do you have this person's physical? I can say, oh, yeah, I do. I'll put it in, and then you guys can be able to, you'll be able to see it right away once I put it in. Well, it's really not.
Back out, though?
I don't believe so, because I was working in it yesterday, and I made some changes in winter games. I had 2 versions of GMS 6 up, and I went over to the other version, and I was able to see it right away. So I believe you guys can.
Sometimes they'll send in the physical, they'll send in dates, and we haven't known in the past once in a while to update those. But.
Yeah, I would prefer that if there's any changes that need to be made in a person's personal profile, you send those on to us, and we'll make those changes. So then we're aware of that.
Well, that might have been because you taught me how to do that, and we might have
sometimes we were helping you with too.
Yeah, if you guys are in the state office and I give you permission to do that, then I can put you on a different login, because with this, I would prefer not making any changes. But if you're working and helping me with physicals, then I can put you on a different login that will give you rights to do that. Which actually, in the beginning, I should have told you the difference between the rights that I've given people. So I am considered a super user. I have full rights to everything in GMS. I can do anything that needs to be done. I have full access. You guys are standard users, which I have set up security parameters to where you guys can only do certain things. And I know of those things you guys can too. So let's say with your games, I have you guys set up to where you can only get in certain games. You can get in your own games. But let's say you need to get in a past game. I can give you that right to get in there, but you may not have that right now, kind of thing. I'll get into it when we get further in, but that's a trying to be a simple explanation as to what it is. Okay, so is there any other questions before we move forward on like person lookup? No? Okay. So next thing I'll get into is your games. So I've only gone back. Can
I do it while you're doing it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep, you can go in and do it. Okay, so what I have done, I've gone back as far as 2 games for you guys. So you can go back as far as 2014 and get into anything you need to, any of your games, your specific games. So Debbie, you can get into your West Central Spring Games, bowling, basketball skills, any of that stuff. And you have full rights to do so. But anything further back than 2014, I didn't go that far because that's time consuming if I go back till like 2009. So if you guys need to get into your games further back, just let me know and I can give you full rights to do so. So you can get in and do anything you need to. I just 14 showing. I'll tell them why that's not popping up in a second. So no, that's okay. So where did I leave off? Anyways, I only went back 2 years further back because I figured that's the only as many years as you would need to go back right now since we're going into 2016. So with this, it's a little different. You used to not have games, this tab right here, but what I've done is I've assigned you guys your own games. So I didn't go as far back as Debbie. I only went to 2015. She still has full rights to her games in 2014. But with this, I went in and assigned her the actual owner. There's 2 different ways to assign an owner. Actually go in the hard way and manually assign somebody, or I can go into the setup and just assign that person. So it's right under associations and game owners, Debbie is the owner. Anybody who is a super user does not need to have that in there, so you won't see my name in there. I can automatically get into any of your guys' games if you need me to. But the only reason why I would do this is so you guys can see it in only your games. You can go back and do it to all games, and you can see everything. I wanted to do that so you guys didn't have to see everybody's. You only had to see your own. It's just kind of simple, and it's a cool little trick. So Debbie, I'll assign yours later, so all of your games show up. Okay, so one thing I was going to show, so in her actual spring games, it's not completely set up. You'll see it looks completely normal. That's because you do have super user rights in your game. You can do anything you need to as far as registering a person to scratching them, deleting them, changing their delegation, anything you need to. If you were to go into a game that is not yours, I'll show you what it looks like. So I will go into Winter Games. This is what it will look like. You don't have the option to look up people. You don't have the option to register anybody. It's basically just a little bit. The one thing I don't like that I couldn't control, I can't lock down for you guys, is in events. You still can get into each event and look people up. That's kind of a problem because somebody can go in and make edits if they want to, like their qualifying score or final score. That's an issue, but I can't lock that down. So I would just suggest only going into your game. That's all I can do. I can't do anything about it. We'll just have to try and be nice to each other and not change in anybody else's games. So I just wanted to show you that really quick. That's what it's going to look like if it's not your game. If it is your game and you see this, you need to contact me. even see anybody in there. The only way you would be able to see somebody is if you actually went into the event. And that's where that problem comes in, is because you can get in those events, somebody could potentially make a change in there, but that's not anything I can do. I can't change that, unfortunately, or I would lock that down, but I can't. So we'll just have to be nice and try not to get in anybody's game. So I'm going to go back into your game, Debbie, and your basketball skills. So another thing that has changed that you guys will notice is reports. I'll just go into a quick report. I'm just going into advanced custom like normal. That's where all the reports that I've created are in there. If you notice, now there's an owner next to reports. Anything that I have created, I will be the owner of. Now, the difference between being an owner and not is anybody that is not an owner cannot make edits, except for super users. Super users can. But you guys, if you want to use, let's say, I'm going to go down to basketball. Let's say Debbie wanted to use my award sheet. She can. You can print, you can change these, whatever you need to, and you can print the report. You just can't edit the actual report. You can only save it, then you can edit. Does that make sense? So you can save this as a new report, and you can make any edit that you need to. But when you're in my report, you can't make any edits.
Where does it save it?
It'll save it in that, right back in here.
Save it right in unassigned, or it'll save it under basketball? Or?
It depends on where you save it. So that's the next thing.
Where you want to save it?
Yeah, I'll give you specifics on how I want you guys to save things.
Once they're saved, if you don't want to keep it following that game, can you then go ahead and delete it?
You can. Mm-hmm.
So we pull up your report. All of a sudden there's a field in there we really don't care to see. We save the report, or we run, and then we can run it. Mm-hmm. And then if we don't need it out there, we just delete it right off the thing.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah, like I don't think I can do that on Debbie's, but if I went back into mine and I didn't want to report anymore, I could delete it off and you guys wouldn't see it anymore. So I'm actually going to, oh, you actually do have rights to do that, Debbie. That's not good.
I wouldn't do anything.
I know.
May do something. Worry about him, not me.
When I checked on this earlier, you didn't have rights to do that. So I need to go back in and revisit that, because earlier you guys didn't have the rights to. Maybe I'm going to go into something else. Oh, okay. Well, I guess you still have the rights to. I'm going to have to relook at that. But anyways, if you save it as a new report, this will still pop up. This is how you save. If you want, okay. If you want yourself to be the owner, you just do report owner and do it as Debbie Eldred. And then if you have a lot of reports that you guys will edit that you want your own, you can create a sub listing, a report grouping, sorry, which is like aquatics, bowling, basketball, those things that I'll show you again. But you can create your own, like it could be West Central area. And all you'd have to do is just type it in. And that's how you create a new one. And it's done. So I'm going to go back into load settings. Oh, there it is. I wanted to show it on the big thing. So I typed in West Central area. That's that grouping right there. And then that's her report underneath that she is the owner of. That's if you have a bunch of reports. if you want to do that, if you want to save your own that way. If you just want that one report, you can, when you save it, you can put in front of the name like WC for West Central or EC for East Central or whichever. It would probably be a good idea if you made your own report grouping if you're going to save a lot of reports. If you're fine with mine, go right ahead, run the report and use it. I'm good with that. You don't need to save reports. But if you want, if you have a bunch of your own, that's something you can do. Another thing that I've done is, if you notice in the old version that you guys had, the standalone version, you had a bunch of reports, just a bunch that you didn't use, that I didn't use. I hid all those, so you shouldn't see those anymore. I actually hid them from everybody. I don't see them either. So.
I'm supposed to be seeing all those, though?
Mm-hmm.
I don't see all those.
You don't see all those?
No. I only see one from that you are the owner of, and that's Alpha. That's it.
Are you in Advanced Custom? Are you in a game that you are an owner of?
Oh, I might have been. We're in Advanced, right? What are we in?
Advanced Custom.
No. Which game?
I'm in West Central Basketball Skills, but you'll want to be in yours. So you want to be in South Central Basketball Skills.
Oh, I just was.
Oh, you were?
Yeah. Oh, okay, now they're there. But she's able to see all the built-in ones that don't have.
I didn't hide. I didn't hide all of them. So like under unassigned, I don't really use them, but they might come in handy someday. Like if you found some of these helpful, sometimes I have, I keep them there just in case. You can still notice which ones I've edited because they're a global template. Built-in ones are just something that came in that I don't necessarily use, but you can always build off of. The built-in ones you have full rights to change because, well, I don't use them. So I figured you guys could have the full rights to change those if you needed to. I would still like it if you would save them differently, if you would put like WC in front of it or create your own grouping if you do edit a report. But those are just my suggestions. If you have any questions about that later when you're actually doing it, just contact me and I'll help you with it.
But, so on your reports here, you've got some that are unclassified, unassigned, whatever. And then you've been, looks like, kind enough, whatever, to put them, also a bunch of reports in the various divisions, or in the various areas of basketball, this kind of thing. What's the difference? Why are some of those unassigned into certain categories? Because it's generic for all?
Yeah, like if they're a global template that I've created and they're under unassigned, it's probably something that I created that was generic and is not specific to a sport. You will notice that I do have a flag football one up there, but that's because flag football is so small. I only need 1 or 2 reports for that, so I just kept it under unassigned. If I use it for a specific event, I always have them listed underneath. So even you'll notice like under summer games or midwinter tournament, I may have the same report under there, but that's because I want to know, oh yeah, I do use that report there. So that's why I've done it that way.
This is the most, for me, frustrating has been each year. What reports last year we really you go through them all, you got 5 of them all have the same name.
Yeah.
But now
So that's something I need to explain. So you can actually show hidden reports. Anything that I've hidden, it'll show underneath. It didn't. Oh, that's, well, looks like I'm going to have to do a little more research. That's odd that it's not working that way.
I thought you were signed on to two. You'd see the same thing you're seeing up there.
Well, you should. So I don't know why it's not. You should see the exact same thing I'm seeing.
Oh, now we do. Now they're there. Maybe not. Maybe that was the issue. Not okay. We think we know the issue. Don't worry about it. Hayley.
Okay. So that's another thing. If I've hidden anything, you should be able to go down at the bottom of your report screen, and next to load from a file, it'll say show hidden reports. And you can click on that. If there's something that you're like, oh, I thought there was this report and now I can't find it, you can click on that and look through everything, not just the ones that I haven't hid. So.
Thank you. No, she's just in the full reports.
Are we good to keep going? Okay. So that's report. So I was going to show you with your games, in the past, you were able to duplicate your games without anybody in it and just work from your past years. Moving forward, since I have to assign you rights to your games, if you duplicate your game, you will lose rights to that new game. So I'll show you. I'll just create a copy. So, oh, Debbie, you don't have rights for that. So spring game, she has her full rights. She can go in and duplicate that game like normal. Oh, it's probably because you're in it. Anyways, you would be able to do that as normal. Go in, it would duplicate, but if you tried to click into it, it would look like all the other ones that you don't have rights to. You couldn't go in and register anybody. You couldn't see any of the delegations because once you duplicated that event, you lost the rights to the new one. So then I would have to go in and give you new rights. So what I've decided to do going forward is I'm going to create your games for the full year in the summertime. Right now I have it up to basketball skills. I just haven't had the time to do spring games yet, but after the beginning of the year I'll start working on that. I created everybody's from scratch again. A couple people had problems with their games for bowling, so I used one template. I duplicated off of that. So what you'll have to do is go in and add all your delegations again. I'm sorry for that. I know it can be a little time consuming, but I want to make sure everybody's works correctly and everybody has the same thing. Moving forward, we shouldn't have to do that. We shouldn't have a problem. I can just create from years past and you'll still have your delegations in there. So all your basketball skills are in there. You can see right now all 2016 basketball skills for every area is in there. I have assigned everybody their rights. If you notice, if you go into your basketball skills and notice that you don't have rights, call me right away. I had that with Martin earlier this week. He called me and he didn't have rights. It's a good thing he did call me because he couldn't start registering or entering anybody. So each year in the summertime, I'll create everybody's games for the full year, and you can start working on it at any time that you need to. So that's a plus. We shouldn't have too many issues, hopefully. If you have any questions about physicals, just call me. Right now, I'm probably about a month behind, to be honest, to be completely honest. If you start registering your basketball skills and you notice that somebody isn't in that you need to, just send me a list. I'm going to try over the Christmas break to get all the physicals entered in, so then once you guys do start entering in January, if depending on when your basketball skills is, you guys should be able to see everything. This, having you guys on the server, is a good thing, so then you guys don't have to question if physicals are in or not, or if your not your backup, but your update was correct, because you guys will always see what we see with physicals. So that's a good thing. There was one thing that I forgot to show you guys, so I'm going to go back in and show you. You know how I said earlier, if you go into somebody's personal profile, you won't be able to make any edits. Unfortunately, when you're inside a game, you can. That's what I was going to talk about. So I'm just going to go into Debbie's basketball skills game, and I'm going to go into somebody's profile just to show you guys. So if I go into this person, they're an athlete. You have full rights to make any edits, but I can't lock that down. I tried to. If I did, then you guys didn't have the rights to scratch anybody or delete anybody or move anybody to a different delegation. So if you registered me under Smouse, but I needed to be under Ruby Van Meter, you couldn't change them. You couldn't move them over. You'd have to contact me, and then I would have to move them. So that was the issue of, do I leave it open or do I close it? The problem with that is if I have 11 area directors calling me, oh, I need to move this person, you know, it would get a little too hectic. So I decided to give you guys the rights to, I would prefer that nobody go in and change anything. Please don't change a delegation. Don't change their age, their name. Even if they're capitalized, their name is capitalized, and you move them to lowercase, please don't do that. Don't change anything. If there is an issue, contact me. You can call me or email me the issue, and I will change it for you. Sally can do that too if she would like to, or she can just change it. She can forward it on to me, but we'll make those changes for you if you see there's an issue in somebody's personal profile. It's just, I would appreciate if you don't make any changes.
Once you make that change, it's permanent.
Yep.
You can't undo it.
So, but if we can't get a hold of her, then we can call you. But you said something about delegations. I didn't think we're supposed to switch delegations. Is that what you said?
Yeah, you're not supposed to.
So we'll
If it's in a game, that's fine. It's your game. If you need to move somebody, go right ahead. It's like what you would normally do. I'll show you quickly. If this person needed to be changed to a different delegation, you would just right-click on them, this entrant, and then change delegation and or role. And that will change them in the game.
I only do this so many times that you can't remember it.
I know. It's
What we find out is that they may represent different facilities within different games.
Yep.
So,
Right.
Very
I
true.
don't know if you guys
But if you go into their profile and change their, go into that profile
I was
again.
to say, if we're in the games, that's a nice way if we can make that change in a
Right,
delegation.
you're right under their delegation.
Yeah.
But if you're right on this screen and you go to group, person type group, if you do any of those drop downs there, that's a permanent change.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to do
Yeah, we'll just strictly do it in the games themselves.
Yep. So like this is a great example. This person's their permanent group is Ankeny High School. That's where they're under. If we send them a delegation report, if they ask for, oh hey, I need to know my athlete's physical expiration dates, and I send them that generic delegation report, they're going to show up under Ankeny High School. But if you change that, then they'll show up under somebody else. That's why we don't want you to change any of that, because that impacts the permanent side. Now in the game, they're under Des Moines Mosaic East, so they are different. They may compete under somebody else other than their permanent one. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
We even have kids that are entered under Mosaic in Kendale.
Mm-hmm.
The same game. If one doesn't know what.
right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or where they're going to put it.
Yep. I just wanted to make you guys aware that that's an option, but I don't want you guys to change anything under that. That's one thing that I couldn't lock it to where you guys could only see read only.
So the rule of thumb is if you go to a drop down, you don't change anything. You have to go to the
Right click.
right
Yeah,
click.
the right click.
And that doesn't make sense.
That would
Yeah.
be just kind of a rule of thumb for me that I would use.
Yep, if you click into somebody, you're changing their actual personal profile. If you're outside of their profile, then you can do what you need to.
For your protection, is there any report that does anytime changes are made, creates a report and lets you know?
See, we looked into that, and there's,
Go into security. We can.
yeah, we can see when you guys make changes, but since this is so new, I don't know how far back it will go. I don't know how specific it goes.
I can see the value of that for use along the line.
Is it?
They got it so you can put the starting date, like as soon as you get into this type of remote, and then you can create that starting date, and then once in a while you can run a report for everybody just to see if there's been anybody slipped up and made mistakes.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah. There's another nice thing in VSys that VSys does. The only bad thing is it doesn't track our transitions in GMS anymore, does it? I thought it still does. We had issues with GMS and VSys a while back with them talking to each other. We have them talking to each other again. That's when we had that problem with the unified partners, you guys not getting the unified partners that you needed for bowling. We have it working again. Yay, wonderful. But we lost some of those transitions. We can see if you guys changed something in VSys, but not 100% reliable.
Almost 2 months. But
Yeah, that's gone.
And for us it doesn't make any difference, but for you it could see some value.
Yeah.
What is this additional data, the date created and then last changed? Does that mean that's when you changed something in here?
That's when that's in the personal profile, isn't it?
Up there on top right underneath that, there's two shadows.
yeah,
Right there.
When it's created, last
There.
change.
Yep. That's when this person, I'm guessing Ray entered this person on 12/17. He entered them 2 days ago.
Okay, so he changed something
In yeah,
Added them.
yeah. So he changed something in their profile. If you look right here, you can see the sport. You guys can change the event if you needed to move them. Let's say this person needed to be in the 8-foot instead of the other one. You can do that there and then scratch. I don't want to change anything since it's your game, but that is an option right there. But if you're going to change anything in here, I would suggest only changing right here under events. Don't change anything else.
But you'd have to right-click there.
Yeah, you would have to right-click in the event, add an event. You can add their basketball, 8-foot, speed dribble, whichever, and then right-click on basketball skills, and you can scratch that person, or you can delete them out of there, make them an alternate, anything like that. But only events, only this part. Don't change anything above or below.
Now, is he even active?
Yep.
Is he in current?
The current physical. Yep.
Oh, okay. Okay, good.
You can still see everything that you need to. You can still see their certifications. It's going to be the same when you register somebody. If you hover over them, you can still see their physical exam date. Yep, their expiration. You can see all of that stuff still.
You can run a report on it too, expiration.
Yep, you can still run your report. Everything should be pretty much the same. I've just limited to some of the stuff you can see. If you don't need it, I didn't want you guys to have it. You know, you don't need it, so why keep it in there? But I think that's all I can think of for right now. Do you have anything, Sally?
Okay, so what happens when you're going and creating a game? Say there is a delegation that changed their name. How is that going to affect?
I haven't researched that yet. The one thing that I think it will change is, let me go in here.
Because we still have a few that are still uppercase. If they're in uppercase, I have not gotten a delegation manager form for them. And so that is considered the old version, so to speak. Once they get to be lowercase, that's when I've got something.
So I'm pretty sure, I'm not 100% sure this is how it goes, but I'm pretty sure this is it. If you're under group kind and it doesn't say delegation next to it, I'm like 99.9% sure that that's not a delegation anymore. Their name has changed somehow, and it's not recognizing that we have that delegation. So then I would just double check that, go back under the new delegation wizard, and then just type in the name. So like, I just used Ruby Van Meter. Like this says Des Moines Ruby Van Meter. Before it might have said Ruby Van Meter dash Des Moines. We just changed it to where it would say Des Moines Ruby Van Meter, so it'd be consistent. If you had it the old way, it shouldn't say delegation next to it anymore, but just add this one in, delete the old one, and it should work just fine.
Yeah, you never want to type down into the, you always want to type in the blue area. You
Yes.
never want to type down below in the name.
If you type down here in
try that and show them, because then that should come up as.
Okay, well.
Back.
I'll have to X out of it.
Because then I think it'll show you what we're talking about. That's good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I know, it's icky. Okay, so I'll just click through here. You can make whatever changes.
Or you can potentially make the changes to save.
If it will let you. I'm gonna go back in and double check on those security things, because you guys shouldn't have the option to even go into design report, the report designer. But I noticed you did have that option. So I'm gonna go back in and make sure.
Then on occasion last year, let's always design and take out a particular one little field. I wouldn't design a whole report. They have numbers.
Yep.
We can't edit reports anymore?
You can. You just have to save it as your own.
Right.
So if you save it as your own, then yeah, go right ahead and do whatever you need to. You can move the whole thing around and make it a brand new report. It would just be save it as your own. So I think that is the only thing. You guys are still able to, if you're having issues with your game and when you're running reports and it's coming up with that error sign, you know, you can still go back into setup and do your event schedule rebuilder. That will help. That'll help you. You guys still should be able to run your games like normal. You hopefully shouldn't have any issues. With delegation, that's hopefully. The nice thing about this is, well, there's a good thing and a bad thing. Bad thing is you always have to be connected to the internet.
So what do we do when we don't have internet access? Like our track and field we won't have.
Yep. So I was going to talk about that too. Thank you for bringing. No, thank you for bringing that up, because I kind of forgot about it. So it's a good thing. Right now I don't have it set up to where you guys can export and import, but I'm going to after this is over. I meant to do that this morning, but I didn't. You will be able to import and export. They have it set up in your computer. It's kind of confusing. I will send out a list of instructions afterwards on how to import and export. You're in a remote connection. So if you try to save and export onto your desktop, you're not actually saving it to your desktop. You'll be saving it into your remote connection desktop. I know I'm getting very technical. I'm very sorry about that. So I'll list instructions on how to get it to your desktop, and then you should be able to import it into your old version of GMS. But I would only do your game. I would not do a backup and put it on your old version, because you'll still run into the same problem. The problem, why we had to do this now, I should have started out with that, is when we moved over to a different type of system on our end, not your guys' end, they ended up making GMS on our end a SQL server. There's two different types. There's Nexus and there's SQL. Nexus only has a certain amount of space that you can put information into. You only have 2 gigabytes of data, of space to put in. With SQL, it has mass amount of space, of storage space, and GMS will eat up all that storage space. It'll eat up as much as you give it. So when I was sending you guys updates, you guys didn't have enough storage space to properly load those updates, since we were much larger than what you guys had. So that's why we had to switch over to this, so then you guys could run your games like normal, still be able to see all the physicals, because that was a problem. So that's why we moved everybody over. So I'm hoping when you do your export and import into the old version it'll work. I haven't tested it. That's a problem. I should have done that beforehand, but I didn't get that done. It should work. I would only import your game though into the old version. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Did I explain that okay?
You did that.
The bad thing is you will need to enter everybody on this version, because not everybody should transfer over to the old version, obviously, because we'll be updating this every single day. It should transfer over anybody you've put into your game, though, into the old version. So you should be able to work on it in your old one as long as you've entered everybody first into the new one. So you can do your divisioning, you can do your
we don't have internet connection going, but Dale would sit there and enter all the things, and then
We have to import it to you.
But
Correct?
before you go to your
Bowling alley,
competition,
your bowling alley probably would have.
Before
The
you
only
go
place you wouldn't have would be like a stadium, like your bowling alley or your schools. You could get onto their internet.
Depends on the bowling alley, but most
Yeah.
schools it's not.
so what Hayley is saying, that you're going to do all your work
ahead of
here
time.
in remote access. Then say you're getting ready to go to your game, your spring game. So you're going to export it out to your standalone. Then you can take it and do what you want, but then you're going to have to
Export it and
export it back
re-import.
out to import it into the remote access.
Now, something I would suggest doing is getting a hotspot. You can do that with your centralized account if you guys want to. If you want to, I'm not saying you need to or anything, but this might help if you don't have internet access at your events. A hotspot might help. If you have it on your phone, you can use a hotspot on your phone, and you can connect to the internet. It just depends on how much data you have.
The phone data you want to use out of your plan.
Yep.
I have unlimited. I'm on an old
You
school.
can do that.
I think it's perfect to pay for those additional fees out of the centralized account.
Right. I understand that, but I'm saying you should be prepared for that.
A hotspot could be, I think it was, what, 30 or 40? I think it was something like that. Yeah, 40 to 50.
1 month. Could I just do it for a month? What if I don't?
You can buy,
Typically, they want to.
Can you buy something, because like I don't have a
Like
smartphone,
3 years.
I buy
Yeah.
something separate that.
yeah, you can buy an actual hotspot. It's like a box,
Okay.
and you can get a data plan. You just have to buy the initial hotspot. That'll be that one-time fee, but then you have to buy the data plan to go with it. And that might be, depending on who you get, it could be 20 to 40 bucks a month, depending on who you go with. We have Verizon. We have one, and it was like, what, 20 bucks a month, I think, or something, 20 or 30 bucks a month to have that hotspot. And I think ours is like 2 gig. That was another thing I was going to tell you with this. I did a calculation with Russ at PC Central. If you worked on GMS 30 hours a week for a whole month, you should never go over 3 gigs of data, ever. If you're just doing GMS and you do it for 30 hours a week. I didn't think you guys would ever go over 30 hours a week. I wanted to shoot it high, so I knew what to tell you guys.
So what do you say?
You should never go over 3 gigabytes of data a month, ever. So if you're comfortable with getting 2 gigabytes a month and it's cheaper, go right ahead and do that. If you only think you're going to use it at events, you could do one. If they offer it, you could do 1 gigabyte. I don't know if they offer it. Depends on what your carrier holds.
But then are you paying for that every month?
It would be every month, and if you would like to take it,
one time, then
I think we looked, because we have AT&T because we did some overseas travel, and I think we could pick it up for 1 month for about 30 bucks.
could
I was
you?
just gonna say, could you only pay for a month?
Or just to go over the data.
If you have,
For 1 month, you go ahead and increase the number of gigabytes.
yeah, if you have a smartphone and you have that hotspot capability, I would suggest doing that. That would be the easiest way, and you wouldn't have to pay for an extra hotspot like a box and all of that complicated stuff. If you have a hotspot, like I know Eileen does, hey, there you go. Go right ahead. You already have yours figured out, you know. But I would suggest doing it on your phone if you have a smartphone.
You have to have a hotspot on your phone.
Yep. Yep, you have to have that capability, with which I think anything from like...
See, that's me. Yeah, I don't have. You have a smartphone? You're not the one doing it. I am. You should have it. That's not real smart.
The majority of iPhones should have them.
Yeah.
Androids, I'm not completely sure about that because I'm not a big Android user, but I know iPhones should.
I don't pay for the, I have the option for it, but I don't subscribe to it. I have the option.
But if you're in a that's only if
Yep, that's only if you don't have internet access.
like I said, if the bowling alley has Wi-Fi, you're not covering any gigs anyway. Using there.
Yep, because you're using theirs.
Really, and that's only if you want to sit the games and transmit.
Yep, that's if you want to do stuff at the event. Yep, but you don't necessarily have to. You can do it once you go back home.
And then that remotely.
Exactly. Yep, you can enter results when you're at home. You don't have to do it at the event. I just know some people like to.
It's nice if you can. You got the people that can also have the capability of doing it.
Yeah, and a nice thing about that too, like I know Liz and Lana, I know you guys had problems at your bowling event.
Right.
I can jump on your game now. You don't have to export and send something to me. I could jump on your computer really quick, jump in your game, look at it, fix anything I needed to, and then say, okay, hey, there you go. You're back online. You can do whatever you need to, and there's no wait. We don't have to wait for somebody at SOI to come back down and say, hey, we have this, we found out the issue. I can do it right then and there. So that's a nice thing. There was something else I was going to say, and now I don't remember what it is. Isn't that lovely when that happens? Remember. I don't believe so. Darn, I had something in my mind. I should have wrote it down. Don't you hate when that happens? Oh, there is one other thing. So, nice thing about this is if you call me and say, hey, I don't have the rights to do my game. Will you make me a super user for my game so I can go in and do whatever I need to? I say, yeah, give me just a second. I'll go and do it right now. Do my little magic trick, go in and give you guys rights. You guys off to the left-hand side, after I say, yeah, go right ahead. I've changed everything I've needed to. Then under Special Tools, you can click Reload Security. It'll do that little blinking thing, and you should be able to go back in and have those rights to do so. So you don't have to X out of your game. You don't have to X out of GMS at all and relog in. You'll just have to hit Reload Security, and you can go back in and do your thing. So, yeah, that's a nice thing that they put in there.
So we don't have to worry about updating it every once in a while like the old version?
Nope. You can, oh, and that reminded me of what I forgot. Yeah, you can go back in and do whatever you need to at any time. You don't have to do any updates anymore. We don't have to worry about backups. You guys can see everything at any time. Another thing I was going to say, since you guys are on our server and you're doing your games on here, you don't have to send me exports of your games anymore because I have them. You just have to email me and say, hey, I'm done. Go back in and do whatever you need to. And then I can go in, advance people, and so yeah. If you make any changes after I've advanced somebody, like let's say you guys, Debbie and Dale, you're working at your event during bowling, and somebody afterwards comes in and says, hey, my person got first place, but you guys say he's got second, and you go back in and you put him as first, just call me like you normally do. You can make those changes, just let me know, so then I know to advance that person on. Just so stuff like that.
It's just a good thing that when you're finished with your games to make an email confirmation to Hayley that
yep.
Okay, we're done entering, you could do your next step.
Yep.
Call 24/7.
Yeah, everybody should have my cell phone number.
Kind of what happens.
Oh yeah.
You.
Yeah, but you guys can call me at any time, and if I don't answer, I'll call you back.
Yes, you're very good about that.
So, I try to be. So. Reports that you guys do, you guys can do those at any time you want to. If you guys want to send, like, let's say Ruby Van Meter contacts Debbie and says, hey, I want a new delegation report to see who all is expired, you guys can go back into reports and you can go into people. That's where we have that delegation report. I probably should have told you that. You guys, I've told you that before, but if you need a refresher, if you go under reports and go under people, you'll find the delegation report that we use. It might come up as load settings, and it's just delegation report. Delegation report alpha, delegation report alpha is something that I did for a coach. You guys don't need that.
Is there something else that you can name that so that everybody knows which one to grab?
Yeah, I can rename this one. That was just for me. Yeah, use this one. So you can go into delegation report. You can go in and click any delegation you need to. If there is one in there already, just right click and say none to where it says no filter. And then you can go back in and click any one you need to and do print, and it'll show you.
Now, can she pull reports that aren't in her area?
Yeah, there's central.
I was just curious.
Yeah, this is.
Can you go over that again when you're on?
Yeah.
You're going to do us a cheat sheet again, like you did for the GMS 6, right? Where you kind of did the step things to do.
Do you want? Well, I was going to give you a list of things like do's and don'ts. I just haven't done it yet, but I was going to create that list for you and send it out to you. Do's and don'ts. Yep. Yep. I was going to create. I was going to create something like that.
That's how I learned how to finally do it when she wasn't available to go in and do something.
Screenshots are real
valuable. Then it was like I could just go through this. I mean, this is my Bible, and I'm doing anything on it if she's not there with me, because otherwise she kills me when I. And I always say it's computer.
Yeah, I can create something like that for you and send out to everybody.
That would be awesome.
What did you want me to go over again, Debbie?
To go back to a screen that I'm familiar with. Okay.
So this is reports, the reports tab. Go to people. This is for the delegation report. And then I'm already in it. You can tell what report you're in because it'll say right there under tools what report name you have. And I just clicked a person. I'll just unclick this. I'll go to a big one. Like I'll do Jenny's Marshalltown Bobcats. Click print. And it'll pull up everybody in her delegation. And I'll pull up the expiration dates of the consent and the medical. And you guys can do that yourselves now if you'd like to, and you will have the correct information.
What can we do?
You can make a PDF.
Okay. And we
if you guys do that, if you guys send out your reports annually or after every event or before every event, you have the absolute correct information from now on since you're connected to the server. There's no question as to, oh, I sent this person 5 months ago. Why aren't they in there? Well, that's pretty long. They should be in there.
So we need to go through, though, and figure out, because I know I have a lot that are updated. Because I ran across that, unless they've been updated since our bowling game.
They should
I have
have.
a stack like that of all ones that
I'm only about a month behind, so that would be November. So anything from October up to like mid-November should be updated.
Okay.
That's
If
when
you
they
sent
were having
it.
a problem where you weren't getting the updates.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
They are.
Okay.
Yeah, but they should. Everything should be now.
Okay.
So that's the nice thing about this is you guys shouldn't have problems with knowing which physicals are in or not, or if you're having an issue with GMS. Hopefully you shouldn't be anymore. This should solve all that. Just really quick, I'm going to show you how to do the save a PDF thing again, because sometimes people forget. So if you want to save this report as a PDF, you just do print down to other devices and PDF. You can do it as an Excel file or an image if you want to, but it will distort it. So I would suggest just doing a PDF unless a coach can't read PDFs. I've had that a couple times, but I would suggest doing PDF every time. And then you just, under Where, in this little box, on the right-hand side where it has the 3 dots, you click that, and you can save it anywhere from there. So if you wanted to save it to your desktop, you can click Desktop and do, if I can spell correctly, Marshalltown Bobcats, and save, and then click OK. And it's saved.
One reason we used an Excel for one report was I think the T-shirt people wanted it in Excel.
Yep. So there's an option to do that. You can put it into Excel. It'll just distort it a little bit. You can always edit the Excel file to make it more legible, but it'll distort it just a little bit. It won't be the same format.
Massage it after stuff.
Yeah. Okay, so that's that. Anybody have any questions?
Okay, when we add our delegations, we have to go in. They don't have the boxes to check, remember how they, on the old ones? On the wizard. So do you have to go back in and do each one individually? You can't check them all?
That's what I've had to do.
Okay.
I know that sucks because I was trying to figure out a way to do that. But I don't believe you can.
Okay.
This is,
It used to be you pulled on a box and I could select multiple
Multiple
in
ones
alphabetical order, and
I know they
now
changed.
it racked my brain because I set it up before she even gets entries.
Yeah, they
I go back and delete whoever didn't send us one or whoever didn't.
Yeah, you can just start to delete.
Yeah, when we changed from GMS 5 to 6, they changed the hierarchy of how the delegations are set up and put together. So if you notice, like in GMS 5, you would have your hierarchy there where it would have the box where you could open and close. Well, now it's set up differently where it looks, I don't like how this is set up, to be honest. I'm not a big fan of it because you can see, let's say right here, it says Algona. That's actually the town. That's not a delegation. That's just the town. But if you go to Algona Dyson or Algona Schools, those are actual delegations. So you can't really click on multiple.
But our last, is this a different version? Because our last version, it had the boxes that we could go in and check.
Of GMS 6?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because we could go down and check the, well, she would go down and check the boxes for me.
This is the same version that you guys have. This is, I haven't changed
Okay, so
versions
we're not
of
up
GMS.
a version to 7.
No,
right?
nope, this is still GMS 6.
Okay.
So I'll check into that
Because they did have the boxes that you could go down and check, and you just
I didn't have to enter them one by one.
you didn't, yeah.
Not when it came to enter the game.
because I'm gonna have to go into mine. I don't think you guys can see the groups anymore. Maybe you can. No.
Call it.
I'm gonna go into mine really quick.
Maybe you guys aren't running on the right one.
It's number 6.
Well, I
And
put
she
the
did
same.
that part, so I know I didn't screw that up.
I did the same version as you guys, so I don't know.
And it doesn't matter.
Hey, got 5 of them
Don't
on
ask
here.
me that because I don't have it.
Oh, you look through another one.
No, don't touch that. That's the new one. Don't touch that one. That's the one we have.
Dear God, what is all that?
They were popping on there when the guy was on thing with me the other day.
Okay, I'll have to look into that checkbox thing with adding all of your delegations
Yeah, 'cause they
in.
were popping on left or right. 'Cause it goes, oh, there's another one. There's another one. Yeah, this is from the. I had to call in to get this one out, and somehow those.
Anyway. That's
Okay, before I close the recording, does anybody have any other questions?
how to- yeah.
Debbie, Dale, Liz, anybody have any more questions?
Yeah, I might need a tutorial.
Okay.
I mean, he probably knows how to do
I
it,
think
but, you know, but I don't.
We'll
Okay.
try to do it, and then if we do, we'll come back.
Okay. So then I'm going to stop the recording. If any of you guys have a question later on, you can always contact me and ask me any questions that you need to.
Thanks, Hayley.